pleasing my dad and it felt really great. And
it felt amazing.
I was like, how many people need to hear that?
It felt amazing. But then I was like, am I going to live my whole life pleasing other people? Basically, I made a really huge decision to quit law when I had nothing else to go to. I was doing social media on the side. I was very into my fitness and health, kind of like vlogging on YouTube, on Instagram about my fitness journey. And I had created a community. So I was getting, sponsorships and partnerships. So I quit law and I call it like a gap year. And I was about 24 or 25. So first time in my life that I actually did some things for myself. Like I went on some brand trips with some incredible brands, released a healthy recipe ebook, creating healthy treats.
Because you had time to, right?
Because
when you were, I'm sure, practicing law, you weren't able to,
No.
even if these things were on the side, come on, you're not taking it.
I'd have like an hour or two a day to do random things. So it was the first year that I actually opened myself up to doing, what does Georgie want to do? What is Georgie interested in? And then what eventuated from there was starting my 2 companies that I co-run with my brother, Naked Harvest Supplements and Rise and Conquer. Naked Harvest Supplements is an all-natural supplement brand. We are all about helping women feel seen in the fitness industry and not be scared of like going to a supplement store and there's blue lightning bolts and there's 400 mg of caffeine.
Muscle.
And building muscle. And
even though we want muscle, we don't want like, it's very masculine. That energy is very masculine.
And also I find if you're first starting your fitness journey, it can feel scary. Like it can feel like, oh, do I want that? Do I belong here? And we really wanted to make females feel welcome in an industry that so often makes people feel unwelcome. So yeah, we created Naked Harvest Supplements and that has grown and scaled into an 8-figure company, which is like so much bigger than I ever thought possible. I never saw myself as a businesswoman. And then the other side is Rise and Conquer, where I have my own podcast. I love deep conversations. I love self-inquiry, self-improvement. And I've really found that the more I work on my mindset, my emotional intelligence, my emotional regulation, the better my business does, the better I am in my family. And I'm a wife, a mum. I'm currently 18 weeks pregnant. Oh my, honestly, the second, it's just like so different to the first. And I have a 3-year-old daughter, Ivy girl.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
More than
Couple
most.
things.
Yeah. Perhaps if you didn't have that self-discovery side and that side where you're really looking at yourself consistently, seeing the parts that I think a lot of us try and ignore, that maybe you wouldn't have had that. That's probably been part of the trajectory. How many years from leaving that to where you are now are we talking? Leaving corporate law?
So I left corporate law in 2018. It feels like a long time, but also that's like a very short time if you think of what I've built.
It really is. I just want to come back to that people-pleasing conversation. I want to know about that side of things.
It's funny, me and Mads were literally having a conversation this morning about people-pleasing. I remember as a child, my mum, who is a big people pleaser, my dad's a big people pleaser, like, you're so different to us. Like, I was very loud. I was very obnoxious. As a child, I was so freely myself. And then there was this point in high school where I started to get a lot of attention because I told my parents I was going to do law. And so for the first time, if I'm reflecting back, I felt special. And I come from a family with 3 brothers, so not a lot of one-on-one time with your parents and not a lot of just you feeling very, very special. And trust me, I had an amazing childhood. There's like no sob story here. Honestly, it took just getting that tiny bit more attention for me to go, I should change myself. And also it was kind of modeled to me growing up. The point of life was to go out and make money and provide for your family, not having fun. For example, I remember when I said I want to like take a year off before uni and like travel Europe, and my parents were like, that is the worst decision. Get straight into the workforce. There was just a lot of conditioning for me, and it wasn't so much about people pleasing, because I really wouldn't say I'm a people pleaser, but it was about conforming to society and putting myself in a box of what I should be to be. I was kind of listening to my intuition, but society has just really wrapped us up in these really interesting ideas of what freedom is, of what you need to do to be respected. And then I think my biggest journey of the last 7 years has been of the unbecoming. I call it like my armor. It was so instilled in me of like, well, you can earn money and you can have an incredible life, but you have to work really, really hard to the point of burnout. Well, no, my health is really important and how I feel every day is really important. It's not just about the end goal. And for me, I think the best thing I did was unlearn so much of what society puts on us of what we should be. And it's really interesting because what I might think is success is to be respected. You might be different, but then you would carry different pieces of armor that you have to take off.
Our parents have the best intentions. How we interpret that as children still translates into our teen and adult years.
Yes.
Yesterday we had a funeral, and isn't it funny at funerals how all this information you never knew about somebody comes out? We're in the car and we were driving to the cemetery, and my sister-in-law said to me, Mum would never let my husband pursue whatever the career was. I think it was electronics. So she was like, no, you're not doing that. You're going to do this. And I said, I never had any idea about this, but this makes sense to me right now. I can actually see how she also was an immigrant. So she'd come with nothing to this country. It's like, you've just got to work hard and you've just got to get it done. She's like, no, that's not going to work.
It's not definite.
It's not. That's right.
Yeah.
And so for her, she was like, that's a no. And he pursued a different career. But it's so interesting how the messages that we get really do form how we approach things and shape a lot of what we do. And then we have resentment because we didn't get to do what we innately wanted to do. It was also very generational. Finish school, go to uni, get the job. Like that was ingrained. My daughter's 17 and we're navigating this right now and she's so confused with what she wants to do. And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like we're going to figure this out eventually. Whereas I had the pressure, you are going to uni and there's $40,000 down the drain. I don't even know. And 3 years, you know, it did still shape who I am today.
Of course.
But would I do it the same now?
Absolutely not.
No, and you wouldn't do the same either. So I feel like this next generation are going to have this opportunity where learning's different. How we find what we want to do it's exciting.
It's so exciting. I noticed with my daughter who's only 3, again, even things like I very much encourage her to be loud. I very much encourage her to be sassy. I truly believe like if you suppress your natural who you are, it can come out in a shadow side. It can come out like in an icky way and in a way that doesn't serve you. Everything that feels like very natural to her currently as a 3-year-old, I encourage. And it's really interesting because my parents stayed with us for a week because my partner went away. She would have a tantrum and she has a lot of as a 3-year-old does. And he couldn't deal with her emotions. Like he'd be like, what's wrong with her? Like just give her what she needs. And I was like, Dad, she's just expressing herself. Like it's okay. And I could see he would get dysregulated. And I could see my whole childhood of how they very much were like trying to suppress me, but it was more of like not doing it from an unloved place, but it's like, I don't want you to go out in society and get shunned. And it's so funny because I will be like, let her have a tantrum. Like it's just emotions. Often she needs to feel it. It moves through her body. And then what do you need, Ivy? And we move through things. And I can see discipline. Like I don't believe in like hitting Ivy, whereas I grew up and hitting was
or I think most of us in our generation, that was just normal. I remember at school kids being hit.
Not for me, but my dad said he got the cane and whatnot.
Right.
And so he's like, how is she going to learn? I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to her about it and we're going to communicate about it. I'm not going to hit a child and then tell her not to hit anyone. Like, how is that going to make sense to her? Because she copies everything I do. Like, in the morning, I'm getting ready. She wants to put on makeup. She wants to put on a pretty dress. Like, everything I do, she wants to copy. So if I'm hitting her, that's really sending the message that she can go hit someone when she's frustrated instead of regulating her emotions, talking to someone, communicating, explaining this to my dad. You can see he's like, but how will she ever know to not do that? I'm like, I'm sure she's going to figure it out. Like, and I have so much space and time for it. I cannot wait to see what, this next generation, your daughter, my daughter, like what they do and how they act and how they make decisions. Because I guarantee as much as we are very progressive and obviously we have a lot more knowledge and it's like, you only know what you know. But I'm like, I guarantee there will be things that I'll be like, I think this is best for you. And then in reality, we're kind of doing what's similar to our parents. Probably not.
It will. We'll have this to be like, how did we mess them up? Where did we do it? Like for all these things that we knew that we were doing great,
mess them up.
We're going to mess them up.
We're going to mess them up. Yeah.
That's part of it. I think that what we need to realize is that we are and not be in denial about that.
Yeah.
And then wait for that to see what that is. Hopefully not something crazy.
And then when it happens to be very open to like, I'm so sorry you felt that way growing up and like be able to take responsibility.